God changes Abram's name. So this is the story of when God changed Abram's name to Abraham, and why. When Abram turned 99 years old, God came to him again, as he had done a long time before. God told Abram he was the Almighty God. And Abram fell on his face before God, because that was very frightening and awesome thing to happen. He was in reverence. That means he feared God. He had high respect for God. God was greater, higher than any king or emperor in our world. And that's how we look at God, or should look at God. He is the creator of all the universes and everything that we know that exists. So when Abram talked to God, it was very important. God talked to Abram, it was very important. God told Abram that the promises, or the big word that the Bible uses is the covenant, was still his. And God also told Abram that he would be the father of many nations. And his name would no longer be Abram. From that time on, would be Abraham. And Abram meant exalted father, which is a very nice name. But Abraham means father of many. And Sarai's name would also be changed from Sarai, which means my princess, to princess of all. So their names became bigger than they had first been. They were good names, but God increased their names. In Genesis 17:6 and 7 and 8, let me read what the Bible says. I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish the covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in the generations, for everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee, to thy seed after thee, the land where thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. God gave Abraham the complete promise, for nations would come from him, kings would come from him, an everlasting covenant or agreement with his generations and his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and the land of Canaan. Abraham, now it was his turn. He made a pledge. He pledged his body and his soul and even his manhood to God, to always follow God's laws. After Abraham made his pledge to God, God told Abraham to bring every man and boy in his tribe to make the same pledge of loyalty. If they chose not to follow God and his pledge of loyalty, then they would not be part of the promise God had made, be a part of his tribe or people. So if they did not make the pledge or loyalty, then they would not be part of Abraham's tribe or part of the promise that God had given him. God also repeated his promise to Abraham and Sarah to have a son. Because of their old age, and they had given all hope to ever having a son or a child. Abraham even asked God if Ishmael could become the promised son. He wanted to make that substitute. God told him that he didn't forget Ishmael, and he would have blessings, even have 12 sons who would make 12 tribes of people. But he would not be the special promised son. God promised once more that Sarah would have a special promised son. This made Abraham bow to the ground, and he laughed in his heart. Didn't dare to laugh out loud, but he laughed in his heart, wondering if in his heart how a man who was 100 years old and a woman who was 90 years old could have a child. Could God do that? What do you think?